Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The title of the fourth session is Practical Way to Introduce HTTP2 High Performance Web Protocol. Now please welcome Chief Technology Officer at Akamai Technologies GK, Mr. Makoto Niimura.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Makoto Niimura, working as a Chief Technology Officer at Akamai Technology Japan organization. And I'm going to talk about HTTP2 protocol. I believe you probably heard of HTTP2 as a kind of futuristic magic protocol, which gives you instant high performance capabilities. But it took a long way because Akamai is one of the leading organizations to try to establish and finalize the HTTP2 protocol, and the HTTP protocol just finalized as a kind of finished. Of course, it could be improved in the long run, but it's already become a kind of production level stage. So I'm going to talk about the practical way of implementing HTTP2, not getting into technical deeper, but more practical aspect of the HTTP2 implementation. Okay, I'd like to start with a little bit of background. Why new HTTP2 protocol is needed, and I think everybody feels the same way. Web is getting bigger and heavier. This is just objective evidence which HTTP archive website compiles every day. This chart shows top 1,000 URLs size and number of objects, average size and number of object of the top 1,000 URLs. And this graph shows the 2-year trends of that aspect. So as you can see, the steady growth of the data size, volume of the website, and the number of objects. It can be difficult to read, but the average object included in one web page is now close to 200. So what's wrong with HTTP 1.1? HTTP 1.1 basically depends on the model that the browser sends a request, and the server response serves the object one by one. So if you have 200 objects, you've got to create the 200 requests, and the server responses to serve the 200 responses for each object. So that's the key of the slowness we face every day for HTTP 1.1. So what comes with HTTP 2 in the speed up aspect? So one is multiplexing. HTTP 2 depends on the new model in which server sends multiple requests at the same time, and the browser requests multiple objects at the same time, and the server actually returns multiple objects in one response messages. And also there's a header compression feature, and also server can send an object in a synchronous way with the browser's behavior. So I'm not going into deeper of these aspects, but I would like to just show how fast HTTP2 actually is. And let me show you one small demo. This is Akamai's HTTP2 demo, which is kind of exaggerating the HTTP's speed, but I show you how fast it is by clicking. No, sorry. I don't know why. Yep. Okay, let's get back to the presentation. Okay. So at this moment, the browser first load this picture. This picture actually consists of more than 300 objects, and it took 14.13 seconds within the 38 millisecond latency. But on HTTP2, everything is loaded within 2.62 seconds with a little bit longer latency, 43 milliseconds. The reason I said it's kind of exaggerating is it's a very simple page, one HTML plus 300 objects. So HTTP's multiplexing can perform perfectly, very, very suitable for HTTP2 protocol. And also, the latency is a little bit bigger compared to the actual working environment, because I just use Y-mobile Wi-Fi, pocket Wi-Fi. So the latency is bigger, the multiplexing effect is bigger. So this is just a kind of exaggeration, but look at the difference. HTTP2 gives you a much more faster response. Okay. So there are three major requirements to adopt HTTP2 protocol. First one is server-side resources. You definitely need to have a HTTP2 ready server. And there are a couple of different type of implementation out there. So one is server itself, like Apache or other HTTP server. And there is another type of implementation which works something like a proxy sitting in front of a server and only takes care of the HTTP protocol. And the third type is appliance. So you can just purchase and put it in front of the server. But anyway, you definitely need a server resource, which works with HTTP protocol. And the second requirement is a TLS implementation. HTTP2 doesn't necessarily require the TLS HTTPS protocol, but actually major browser all implement the HTTP2 on top of TLS connection, because there's a need for a protocol negotiation, and the browser, almost all the browser depend on the HTTPS protocol negotiation to handle the HTTP2. And of course, the third component is a browser. You don't have control over the browser, but you definitely need to know how many or what percentage of consumers can access to your website with the HTTP ready browser. So these three components you need to care about and prepare. So first one, server resources. There's a nice website which compiles the information about the HTTP2 server and client and any other technical resources. And you can just look at the page and pick a server of your choice. So if you are using Apache server right now, so then the natural choice would be HTTP2, Apache HTTP2 server. But there are other kind of servers, so just go through the page and pick a server of your choice. So the bigger or probably difficult part of the HTTP2 implementation is HTTPS requirement. So you need to have a certificate. If you're running on a simple HTTP, then you need HTTPS AS implementation, and you definitely need a SSL certificate. And usually, certificate is not a free thing, so you need to pay, you need to purchase a certificate. But here's a new solution for that part. That's a project called Let's Encrypt. Please go to the Let's Encrypt organizational page, and you can see the latest information. But basically, this is an open source certificate you can download and install and run. And they just started issuing the domain validation certificate starting recently. So you can actually now use the certificate from this authority. And the nice thing about Let's Encrypt is it's already trusted by major browser. So major browser accesses the certificate from Let's Encrypt, then it's already trusted. And another nice thing about Let's Encrypt is automated maintenance or automated administration, that kind of thing. Major thing you need to do is just install the admin software from Let's Encrypt and install it on your server. And then that module, that software takes care of the registration process and the validation process and actual cert issuance process. And actually, it covers the renewal process. So the cert maintenance is it's becoming much more easy by using Let's Encrypt. So please take a look and try Let's Encrypt project. And there are a couple of other small but important things to think about is using HTTP2, the load balance inside the server may shift. That means on HTTP 1.1, you have many TCP connections, but on HTTP 2, you need to serve many objects at once. So there might be a load shift. So, and some type of application might have some effect. So you need to test HTTP protocol on your site before going onto production. And the second thing is if your server is already optimized for HTTP 1.1, then HTTP2 performance gain could be minimized. That, for one example, HTTP's multiplexing feature doesn't have any effect on the split domains. The split domains is a technique called domain sharding, which splits the object into multiple domains and try to make the browser work simultaneously. But HTTP2 only works for only multiplexing the request onto the same domain, so that if you have a split domain, then there is no gain by the multiplexing. And another thing is your website may not be simple. You have many third-party content like advertisement or SNS link. In that case, those objects still need to be carried by HTTP 1.1. So the entire web rendering speed could be depend on the those third-party contents. So the overall effect, you need to evaluate the overall effect of the introducing HTTP2. And also, if you are a developer, you need to prepare the debugging environment conforming to the HTTP2. And there are major debuggers already ready to HTTP2. One is a command line debugger, and another one is a browser debugger by Chrome. And Wireshark now, the recent version of Wireshark decrypt the HTTP's packet. So but you need to export the private key to Wireshark. Anyway, you can decrypt the HTTP packets on Wireshark. So once you're ready for a server side, then let's look at the client side, browser side. And this chart shows the readiness of the major browser for HTTP2. Most of the major browsers are already HTTP2 ready, and Internet Explorer's latest version works on Windows 10. Only work for HTTP2. If you are running Internet Explorer on Windows 8, then it doesn't work for HTTP2. So other than Internet Explorer, almost all major browsers are now ready for HTTP. But the real problem is how many or how much percentage of the actual consumer accessing to the web server is the question. And for that question, Akamai publishes data of the latest deployment of the browser on the consumer side. And please look at the actual web page. Akamai publishes the latest web browser share every day, but the latest data is a couple of days ago. And on this page, you can check with the browser's version. This shows a mobile browser version, and the Safari now takes up to 42%, and the Chrome is 26%, and that means Safari and Chrome combined already takes up close to 70%. So 70% of the consumer are ready to HTTP2. That means if you deploy HTTP2 today, 70% of the consumer can be benefited from the HTTP2's high performance today. And you can decide when to go to HTTP2 by looking at this kind of data. And you can go to this web page by this very long link, but once you come to Akamai web page and putting the Internet Observatory is the site of this page. So you can check out this latest data every day. And if you think going onto HTTP is still tidy and difficult, then there's another type of solution. There's a outsourcing way. Akamai and other CDN vendors can work as a complete proxy, and you don't have to do anything. Proxy takes care of everything. And in Akamai case, Akamai introduced the Let's Encrypt to start on your behalf, and you don't have to do anything on origin side. And Akamai works very fast between your origin, so the entire HTTP benefit is available on this setting. So 70% of the end users are already ready for HTTP, and I believe it's a time to think about going on to HTTP seriously. And if you are interested in, then please go to the HTTP related resource and Let's Encrypt. And that's it, my presentation today. Thank you very much for coming to this session.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nimura.